Now, granted, like the difference is obvious because of the authorial intent. Like originally, Virgilius was supposed to be the one that to exist in the story instead of Erika and Evatris. I don't know if Rikishi would have ever had the intent of Virgilius also having a sister in the form of Erika. I don't know. I think that may be something that Uminetta decided to add in as well. Whereas on the opposite side, Ryukishi decided to throw away the idea of Virgilius and made Erika instead. At the end of the day, even if Virgilius existed as a concept that was thrown away by Ryukishi and never to be used again, it was never mentioned that Erika had like any brother to begin with. Virgilius exists only as a concept outside the story, and that's it. So it's not as if Erika had like any brother to be helped by or to have like as a emotional support in similar fashion to this story or something like that. Because otherwise, it does seem that Erika is like the only child in this, like in the main story that is, and only had the parents who were. You know what this reminds me a little bit? Like it surely reminds me of Satoko and Satoshi in Higurashi. Erika seems to have been quite a stubborn girl who more than likely was like one of the sources of like chaos like in the family, at least according to this story written by Uminetta. And the big brother is like right there as a bridge between the parents and Erika in order to, you know, lower the chaos, like dampen the damage and all that, try to make things as comfortable as possible in certain situations, because the parents were definitely strict to the point where I think that they were quite abusive and all that. And you know, Erika, her personality came from somewhere, that is for sure. Like the stubborn personality, like the ugly personality and all that. First, because of the ex-boyfriend, and second, more than likely because of the parents, and third, possibly because of some other friends and all that. It's because of how she was raised in some way that she ends up being like this, which makes the family situations even more ugly. And the brother is there to put things together and make things more livable for both sides. So yeah, it definitely reminds me of Satoko and Satoshi in that sense. It's quite interesting. Such a casual conversation allowed them to forget that they were in the middle of the witches game and talk like two friends who were about the same age. For Shinomiya Battler, who had been by himself against the witch up until now, it was a true moment of calm bliss. It kind of makes you question, like, if in the main story, Erika had a brother like Virgilius, would she have been the same? Because it really does make you think that in the Umineko, Erika literally had no one else in her life as emotional support, to the point where she became who she was in the main story. But if she had Virgilius, would she have thought at least once about her big brother? Would she have thought at least once that to win the game in order to possibly come back? I mean, who knows? Like, if we were to put this like into like a little bit of a headcanon right over here, maybe like one of the small secret reasons for why Erika was such a hardcore fan of Ben Castell and was licking her toes and all that was to appease to Ben Castell in order for one day Erika to finally escape and come back to her brother. Because I think that's actually one of the ideas that I had in mind, like during the main story. Although there's hardly any evidence for that maybe the reason Erika was working so hard in order to make Ben Castell happy and appease to her and like be as best as possible to win against Beatrice and Ballero to satisfy Ben Costello was in the hopes that maybe one day she would come back to her big brother or to her past family or whatever. That it wasn't necessarily that Erika thought like that Erika was only thinking of Bercastel because it was the only thing that she had in her life at that point. That Bercastel was the only emotional support at that point, and thus she would be obsessed by Bercastel. But maybe secretly there was somebody else that she had to come back to. Who knows? Or, like, back when I was thinking about this idea, it was for her to achieve freedom. That one day, once she satisfied Ben Costello enough, she would achieve some form of freedom by basically becoming the true, like, Witch of Truth. That maybe she gained that that title, she would finally be more free to do whatever she wants. Yeah, I do think I thought about that at some points. Alright, well, let's continue. Quite a nice little moment between Vergilius and Deller. Are you feeling better? Yeah. Surprisingly, I'm much calmer now. The two of them have been talking out another break, enjoying their tea and cookies. You know, this is actually pretty sweet. Like, even in a meta perspective, from the author's perspective, because while we have in the story have like this bond between Vergilius and Deller happen, like outside the story, you have somebody out there who wrote this forgery for Toya to read, as if the author was trying to say, "Hey, I'm sorry for what happened to you, and with this forgery that I'm writing to you, I'm basically saying I'm sorry for what happened, and I'm writing this for you so that maybe you'll feel much better, and all that, to have some emotional support in the form of Vergilius," which is pretty sweet, not gonna lie. Almost like he was paralleling his other self within the story. Toya, who was struggling with his own emotions at the first twilight, was now skimming back and forth through the pages, a relaxed expression on his face. Huh. Ikuko looked at Toya curiously. There was a slight smile on Toya's face. He had a bitter feeling to it, but it still had some hint of arrogance, like someone who had just lost a round against a humiliating opponent. This offer is mocking us. All? Mocking us? Yeah, I'm sure of it. This game, no, the concept of Julius as a whole, is a message. This offer is standing in front of us, declaring with confidence that they're capable of writing a better human detective. No cheap tricks, no special abilities, they're just saying it directly to us. My detective is better than yours. Well, I guess you can also say that. I guess a normal human being would have a hard time staying awake all night in order to listen to the sound of people sleeping after almost drowning. No, it goes much beyond that. When Furudo Erika arrived to the board, she made multiple moves that cannot be explained with simple logic, when looking at it objectively. I mean, let's be real. No normal guest would go around tapping doors, climbing windows, or listening to people's reading all night. In other words, this offer is calling out Erika's entire behavior as a piece on the board by creating Vergilius. Ikuko couldn't help but smile sheepishly. After all, he was right. Furudo Erika was a perfect piece. In fact, she was almost too perfect. A self-proclaimed detective who has photographic memory, deducting skills, and most importantly, is capable of foreseeing possible tragedies and preparing alibis and seals prior to their occurrence. More than an invited guest on the island, she was an ideal piece that was behaving like a custom-made player to fit the exact needs for the human side. For example, Even if one were to see a family having a heated argument over gold, no matter how bad it is, you'd be very unlikely to believe a murder would take place the following night. But Furudo Erika was able to deduce something would happen and acted accordingly. Meanwhile, when Ushinomiya Eva stuck a piece of paper in Kinzo's door, it had a prior explanation. The suspicion over the death of the head had been known to the siblings for a while, and Eva was ready to make her moves in order to prove her point. However, Furudo Erika was capable of predicting this outcome, and made her own moves before that happened. Erika was capable of using her knowledge as a player in the upper meta level in order to prepare, which means that Erika's actions had no basis, but a feeling that something would happen. In fact, won't such a thing contradict the rules brought up on the very same game board? Noxus 6. It is forbidden for accident or intuition to be employed as a detective technique. That means that, in a way, Furudo Erika's actions were bordering on breaking the very rules wielded by the human side and her assistant, Delanorae Nox. Intuition. If that wasn't enough, Erika received another weapon, made for her to wield, the detective authority. Erika was capable of stepping beyond the boundaries of a normal player, and stepping where she wouldn't have been able to step in normal circumstances. She could get full information from the family members even if they weren't willing to share it, and access tools a normal guest wouldn't have been able to get in normal circumstances. Therefore, Erika was an overpowered piece. If Bella were to stay awake all night and patrol around, keeping people safe, could he avoid the murders or figure out the truth? If Bella the player were to let Bella the piece use prior knowledge on the board to solve things or avoid them, could the tragedy be evaded? Furudo Virgilius was the opposite of Furudo Erika on this matter. While he has fitting qualities to be an assistant to the human side, he does not step outside his borders. Virgilius does not yield any authority to allow him to act freely on the board, and the piece knows its place as an invited guest on the board, dealing with the restrictions placed on him, such as hostility or vulnerability from different members of the family. He does not hold on to conveniently good abilities that allow him to deduce the scenes better or inspect them more easily, and his competence is measured by talents that one could expect from a person like him. Yeah, he's sort of like in the middle between Beller and Erika. Beller in a more realistic sense of trying to solve things, and Erika being, like, basically, like, as the story said, an overpowered piece. Like, he fights like Beller, but in a very calm manner, in a more experienced kind of Beller, in a way. However, he is still a strong piece. Furudo Erika, Furudo Virgilius, the two opposites of the same concept, valuable pieces to the human side. This author doesn't even try to hide their criticism over Erika's shenanigans. Yeah, it almost makes me feel ashamed as well. I think that part of Erika's charm is just how arrogant and know-it-all she is. She's always thinking of the worst outcome after believing she saw the ugly sides of humans, simply because she thinks she knows it better than anyone. You could excuse people testifying to her with a personal charm like Virgilius, and her actions with how she just wants to play a detective while taking it a little too far. Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine Erika as a person with a charm that would make people talk. She doesn't seem to be able to restrain her true self for too long so far. Yeah, truly. Like, in retrospect, her true nature was revealed, like, quite early. I'm just explaining your own story to make you feel better, Toya. Thanks. I might just go and revise everything now. The two chuckle a little before Toya sighed again. Look at us. At least you can't say we're bored with this offer. They make us think. And that's right. Anything that could make the readers think is no longer a worthless compilation of words next to each other. One who stops thinking will die. Perhaps, if Ajijo Toya himself stops thinking, he'll die too. When putting it this way, isn't writing mysteries and forgeries his very method to stay alive? Federin hummed her thoughts over the void that surrounded her despite having no one to answer her words, spinning her pen between her fingers. In that case, perhaps we had a lot in common. After all, this mystery is a dialogue between the author and the reader. If one of them stops thinking, the game will be over, and the universe they share will crumble. I guess you could say that there's a little bit of a contradiction right over here, although maybe not quite a contradiction, but what I'm trying to say right over here is that Toya, he in some ways is restraining himself from trying to reveal like all the truth, aka, you know, meeting Angie and think too much about it, because if he does remember like everything, that would mean that that part of him dies, and there's the possibility that Better would come back. But oppositely, when it comes to the story, yeah, if you stop thinking, you die. So, She leaned back, tilting her head to the side. Are you still there? I'm sure this is keeping you entertained, at least for the time being. You will be able to join us soon. A muffled noise gave her verification she was not by herself, making her smile calmly. It truly was a duet between the reader and the author. A beautiful melody died in red, and she couldn't wait to listen to more of it. The witch's room, usually filled with voices and debates between the human side and witch's side, was now quiet. The only person sitting in the room was the witch, resting her chin on the table with a pouty expression. What's up, Beatrice? Still feeling sad? That the Better does not think kindly of you? Are you still feeling sad that you made Beller miffed? Oh, what can he do without your Batora? Her opponent, along with his assistant, had yet to return, leaving her to wait by herself, without anyone to entertain her. You know what? Let me try some more special substances right over here. Let me just smoke some of this good grow stuff. Oh, this is so good. This is what she does when she's bored. Sometimes she just smokes some of that good stuff. No. Not even good old crack is gonna work. And time was passing slowly. Slowly. What's taking so long? The witch started repeatedly slamming the table with her fist, an annoyed expression all over her face. This is my game. It's my game, and they both just left me here all by myself? How dare they just leave me? How did they end up being all alone? She stood up dramatically, walking around, stomping her feet. That Better. Now that he has more company, he pays me no attention at all. Maybe I should bring myself more friends. Actually, wait a second. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. This is like one of those mangas that I was reading in my spare time. That Vergilius is trying to take Better away from me. This is surely gonna have like a yaoi ending, and I'm gonna be left alone. How dare he! That's right. I could bring myself a butler, a demon butler. Or I bring in more witches over to this party just so I can shove it in his face. Beatrice kicked the leg of the chair in a childish way, pumping out her cheeks. I know, that is... You know, you are thinking of that, but you know, it is at this point that people like Ronoe and Virgilia will start getting introduced. For that reason. That's right. I'll bring all 72 demons from hell if needed. just to show him what happens if he leaves me by myself, to do whatever I want. Man, you know, the story, the story, ideas that you would get out of the rest of the 72 demons. We haven't even scratched the surface of all the 72 demons. We only managed a few because, you know, Umineko already has like quite a big cast, so to speak, so there's no way that it would fit like 72 demons. But imagine the forgeries. Oh boy, the forgeries that you could do with like the rest of the demons. Hell, like the side story with the last note, and well, not last note. Like, you know, sometimes I kind of, like, for some reason, it kind of makes me think that that piece, the witch piece, came with like, I'm forgetting her name, but it was the other demon that was introduced before last note started. It was during like the confession of the Golden Witch that, you know, Beatrice was telling a story to Delnor, like one of her stories, and like the murder in the study happened with that demon. Like, I always think that that demon came with peace, even though that's not the case. Like, the demon came separately before last note, but nonetheless, like, he could have such fun ideas with like the rest of the demons. Like, it is right there. It will be quite interesting. Yeah, I don't need him around. Yeah, I'll teach him a lesson. Looks like the only one suffering from my absence is you! Oh wait, no wait, that's is that better? Yeah, that's better. Looks like the only one suffering from my absence is you. What? Beatrice turned abruptly, just to find both Bella and Virgil standing by the room's entrance with amused expressions, which only made her face get redder with anger and shame. Badora! How long have you been standing there? For a little while now. It was Ryu's idea to see what you do by yourself. He didn't disappoint. My, don't be so mean, Bella-san. I guess the great endless witch is just a child who needs attention at heart. Looks like it's not so fun keeping me here in an endless game if I'm not paying her any attention. I guess that's another way to do it. Come on now, Bella. We do need to go home eventually, but that break was definitely pleasant. Well, the conversation topics were certainly more appealing than what we have here, right? The two men simply kept talking while looking to be in high spirits, almost completely ignoring Beth, who was with them in the room, only making her pout angrily even more. You can't be serious! I'm more interesting! I'm way more entertaining! I could show you better some things that Virgilius couldn't even dream of being able to do. Some raw, powerful moves. Some things that you couldn't even get out of the romantic stories that you would read in your spare time. And Better is like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? And Beatrice is like, nothing. Virgilius cannot entertain you as much as I am. Sooner or later, you'll get bored and come back to me. I mean, look at me. I am perfecto. Well, I guess being surrounded by my girls was too boring for you, so you settled with a man instead. What is the meaning of this? It's nothing like that. She's getting to you again, Bella-san. I'm just taking notes, you see. Anything to make you happy, Battler. Maybe Beatrice is trying to poke Better a little bit. Cause, like, this is the first time that she sees Better in like 6 years. Like, she doesn't know like what happened to Better. Maybe Better turned sides in the meantime, and she's trying to test things out. And then when she finds out, she's gonna be like, actually, she would be happy about that. Or not. Like, it kind of depends, whether it's a Better who's going to turn into a bisexual, or just purely turning to the other side. I don't know. Start by not killing my family first. That'd be really great. Your bar is way too low at this point. Is it really? I think that asking for this witch to not kill my family is quite reasonable. Yeah, I'm starting to see why you keep losing to her. Yeah. Like, Better cannot even imagine that, besides that, he could try even to become a game master. Which, he succeeds in that more than rescuing his family. Because of obvious reasons. What's the meaning of that? How do I put it? You get kind of lame sometimes. Whose side are you on anyway? My side, of course. You're finally starting to understand me, Virgilius. Maybe I should take you to a private conversation, just the two of us, so we can bond too. And then Beatrice comes in close to whisper into Better's ears. Two can play this game, bitch. Lo and behold, this story is gonna end up in a threesome. Oh my. Okay, I'm kidding. The fuck is this coming from? Sorry, you're not really my type. So I'll have to pass. I'm not what? Okay, that was Virgilius that said that. Sorry, you're not really my type. So I'll have to pass. Beatrice is not your type? Whew. Maybe Virgilius is into Better. At this point, both Better and Battle had either annoyed or troubled expressions on their faces, but Virgilius kept his composure, looking amused. Both of them were emotional and easy to take off. It was almost fun, in its own twisted way. Or so he thought. Damn it, Ryu. Sooner or later I'll find your weakness, and then it's over for you. How sad. I thought we were allies. You're one to talk. Better nudge him with his elbow, a little too strongly for the small man. He made Virgilius lose his balance, pouting at the loss of elegance. He then elbowed Better back, significantly more weakly. Weak. Shut up. I'll kick you where it hurts next. Oh, did I finally strike an... Virgilius dug his heel into Better's foot before smiling innocently at Beatrice. I will continue with the next round soon. Yes, once you two stop acting like children in a kindergarten, that is. Huh? Says the one who kicked the chair because she was lonely. Says the one who keeps stepping on someone just because they're stronger than them. Please stop stepping on my leg! You're noisy, Better. Oh god. What? Where did that accent came from? Kansai dialect? Hideyoshi? Any problem with my accent? Say it to my face now. So this is why you speak so politely all the time. Are you keeping it a secret? Isn't it common for people who try to hide their accent to speak politely all the time? Yeah. That's cause you won't contain yourself and keep up with your stupid reasoning. Is that what you want, huh? Is it? I honestly don't know how a Kansai dialect is. I mean, it's Japanese dialect, so I wouldn't even know how it sounds. What the hell? You're a completely different person. Keep it going. Keep it going. Oh yeah? At least my laughter doesn't sound like a dying hyena. You're a dying hyena! That metaphor was kind of funny. Shut up, Batter! Yeah, because they just kept going back and forth in the room for a while, getting more and more childish the more it progressed. Well, you know, I was thinking if at some point we're gonna see some of Virgilius' true nature. I didn't know that we would get it like right here. Batter was childish. Beatrice was childish. They dragged Virgilius down to their level, and won with experience. Alright, that was actually fun. Like, at this point, like, I'm really, really curious how this is all gonna end. Like, how is Virgilius gonna play, like, by the end of this? Like, what his role is gonna be by the end of this? Virgilius existed the resting room. He had a worn-out expression and was lingering next to the door. As if experiencing a near-death moment after falling off the cruise had been enough, now the place he ended up in was a crime scene, with no less than 6 people who had been murdered. It was true that the general idea on an island with mysterious murders could sound freeing, but experiencing it firsthand was completely different, especially as an outsider. The truth was, he just really didn't want to be there right now. Virgilius sighed again, turning to close the door behind him. As he turned back, he was greeted by Natsuki, who stood in front of him in the corridor, clenching onto her gun with an unclear expression. Natsuki had some unexplainable hostility towards him since he arrived. The quiet glares during yesterday evening, or her defensive attitude every time he was around, were hard to ignore, even when he tried to keep his polite attitude and play it cool as long as possible. Under normal circumstances, he would have just assumed she was a little antisocial, or very unhappy to have an unwanted guest during an important family event. He could understand it, even though the rest of the family had welcomed him with open arms. It's only natural for people to have a hard time with strangers, especially when they crash into your house uninvited out of nowhere. If anything, Natsuki is like the most honest, at the very least. Like, when it comes to the other family members, they're keeping their smiles like, oh, happy, and all that, in the hopes that no chaos would happen. Like, they're trying to be at their best behavior in front of the guest, because they know how some of these family meetings are gonna turn out. In chaos, that is. But now, with the murders happening on the island, you couldn't help but feel uneasiness. Natsuki was acting as if she had secrets she was keeping, and was very afraid he would expose her any second. He wondered if his occupation as law studies student worried her, but he was barely at the beginning of his studies at this point, so it wasn't like he could play the perfect detective and expose whatever she was trying to hide. Still, with her hostile expression and a gun in her hands, it definitely made him feel like running away. He finally wore a polite smile on his face again, looking at Natsuki directly. Natsuki-san, is something the matter? How long are you going to keep up with this act? Huh? Virgilius couldn't help but immediately make an irritated expression. Keep up with the act? What the hell was she talking about? Oh boy. He forced a smile over his face again, trying to hide his irritation, crossing his arms. This is the way I talk when I'm not around close friends. I don't think that whether I speak with or without dialect is any of your business. Cut off with this nonsense. I know who you are. Natsuki was yelling at him, tears in the corners of her eyes. He felt like she was ready to draw her gun and shoot him if she could, but suppressed the instinct to raise his own arms in the air, leaving them crossed. You already took everything from me. What else do you want? Since when were you planning this? Are you trying to frame me for the murders? Virgilius spoke in a low, annoyed tone, making Natsuki shiver. I get that you're devastated and trying to find someone to blame, but making me your scapegoat won't take you anywhere. Trust me, I didn't want to come here either. And just because I'm a guest doesn't mean I'll play along with your blaming games. I know it's you. Stop it! Stop it already! Natsuki's voice cracked and her grip onto her gun tightened even more. Stop pretending already! I can't take it anymore! I'm not pretending. I have no idea what you're talking about. Why would I be pretending? What would I be pretending? Does it mean you have any lead regarding who's the murderer? and I fit some of the criteria. Why aren't you saying anything? Couldn't you kill me instead? Why? Why my husband and daughter? Why 4 other people along with them? I don't understand. I'm the one who doesn't understand. Quit the riddles already. Confess already. The man from 19 years ago. I know you're the murderer. Have you lost your mind? Besides, aren't you the one holding a gun out of the 2 of us? Acting like they're about to shoot the other? Is the murderer about my age? How do you know it? What are you hiding, Nazi-san? You're the one who's hiding things. No, you must have accomplices, right? Who are they? How did they get these letters to my room? You got letters? From the murderer? That's it. I've had enough. I'm going to tell the others. Don't move. I'm telling you not to move. Nazi had already raised her gun up when Virgilio started advancing forward, but he soon stepped back, glaring back at her. Then, out of nowhere, he suddenly smiled, making Nazi visibly flinch. You know what? 2 can play this game. I can scream and tell everyone you threatened me with a gun. In fact, it's not even a lie, right? You're trying to frame me, aren't you? Well, I can frame you back, and my testimony so far makes much more sense than yours, you know. You! I'm not just going to let you point a gun at me and frame me for a murder I didn't commit. And honestly, the one who acts the most suspicious right now is you. I'm done showing compassion and patience just because you're in a tough place after losing your family. Hot damn. Nazi was at a loss for words, shaken from anger and frustration. She had been certain she had the upper hand, but without any effort from his side, she was now cornered instead. Damn. You know, a part of me, like, feels as if... Like, okay, a part of me thinks that, like, Virgilius is truly, like, not understanding the situation and he is quite shocked by all this and becoming angered by Nazi's accusation, almost as if he is not the man from 19 years ago. Like, it kind of makes you feel like, based on his reaction right over here, that Nazi has gone complete bonkers and he's like she's putting the blame on the new guest as the murderer, even though Virgilius is not the murderer, or so we are putting as an option that he's not the murderer and all that. That or he's a very good actor in, pretending that he's not the murderer and acting all surprised by Nazi's blaming right over here, even though he might very well be the man from 19 years ago. Like, when I started this, I did go like all the way with the idea that he's the man from 19 years ago, that he is a persona of Yasu and all that, but right now, like, I am, like, I'm not sure anymore, to be quite honest. Like, I wonder where this is gonna go, to be quite honest. Is he the man from 19 years ago? Is he not? Like, there are 2 options. Either this person is the man from 19 years ago, and all this story about his sister and family and all that, it's all fabrication. Or he's not the man from 19 years ago, in which case his family situation is real. To be fair though, if I'm to be brutally honest right over here, I much prefer if he wasn't the man from 19 years ago, and instead his family situation with Erika and the parents is legit. Cause I kinda want more characterization for Erika, more than I want characterization for Beatrice as another persona of, like, Yasu and all that. Like, I much prefer, like, more characterization, like, true characterization for Erika, than for for the reveal to be that this is the person from 19 years ago. I much prefer that. She'll only be framing herself or making herself more suspicious. In which case, like, Virgilius' reaction right over here is genuine. I guess we shall see. Like, I cannot wait to see how this is gonna end. Her mind was racing as she kept eye contact with the man in front of her. Was it really impossible to win against him? What can she do? How can she catch him? No. The only thing she can do is to keep an eye on him from now on, and make sure she won't hurt anyone else. She's the only one who knows his true face, after all. Like, story-wise, because when I started thinking that Virgilius is the man from 19 years ago, like, it's all meta. Like, it's because I know that this is a concept that Ariakey came with. But in story-wise, maybe Natsuki is being completely paranoid. Like, it's all a huge coincidence. Like, Beatrice is, Beatrice / Yasu is writing all these letters to spook Natsuki in similar fashion to Episode 5 and all that, with the person from 19 years ago. But then comes this boy right over here who truly makes Beatrice, like, Natsuki, think that this is the man from 19 years ago, even though this person has nothing to do with the murders, like, or the boy from, like, the baby from 19 years ago. Like, it's all a huge coincidence that this person is here. If this person said 18 years ago or 20 years, like, that he's 18 or 20, like, maybe Natsuki wouldn't have been as paranoid. I don't know, maybe she would have been a little bit paranoid. But 19 years? Phew. Natsuki took a deep breath, straightening in place. She wanted to answer him, to prove to him she didn't lose her will to fight yet. But before she could reply or say anything she had on her mind, she could hear footsteps coming from the direction of the parlor. Ryu-san, Natsuki-oba-san, there you are. Beta was walking as a lead of the group that contained the other remaining survivors. Eva, Rosa, Maria, Genji, Gora, Kumasawa, and Dr. Nanjo. Everyone, what happened? Where are you heading? Sharon-san went to call Kano-san, and neither of them have returned yet. Everyone agreed to go back and check together as a group. So she didn't come back yet? I even offered to go with her just in case. Damn it. Miller clenched his fists, a troubled, pain expression on his face. Alright, well, let's continue. Let's see about the discovery of their bodies and all that. Let's go on with the second Twilight. Please don't take responsibility about her son, Letter-sama. Shannon-chan cared a lot about Jessica-sama, so she might have taken her time to calm her heart by herself, feeling it's unfitting to grieve in front of the family members. Kumasawa fidgeted in place a little bit, pressing her hands together with a troubled expression. She was trying to cheer Bella up, but couldn't hide the fact that she was worried herself. If I remember correctly, I think Shannon-san said she would look for him in the servant room. Shouldn't we check there first? As Virgilius spoke, Natsuki glanced at him quietly. Despite his threats, she was surprised he didn't expose anything from their encounter just mere moments ago. So in return, she just sighed and nodded. I agree. Let's begin our search there. The group continued moving together in the direct road towards the servant room. As they reached the door, Kumasawa was the first one to hesitantly open it, peeking inside. Shannon-chan, Kanon-kun. The servant room was empty, with no sign of anyone being there. Hello? So neither of them are here. Maybe Shannon-san didn't find him here. He went to look for him in other places. Man, again, these Ryukishi style backgrounds, they are so surreal. There was a feeling of uneasiness among the people about returning to the second floor. However, with no sign of Shannon or Kano on the first floor, the whole group climbed its way upstairs. As they passed by the locked rooms with the magic circles on them, Better settled down and couldn't help but linger at the door where Rudolph and Kitty had resided. What's up, Maria? You devilish little munchkin.
So the ceremony has really begun. Looks like I gave you a charm just in time.
What are you talking about? Better gave Maria a slightly uncomfortable expression, but his hand shot to the pocket in his hands, where the charm from Maria still was. He would have expected a child her age to be repulsed by such a grotesque view, but for a girl interested in the cult, perhaps it only looked like a fun horror show with magical elements. She pointed at the circle on one of the doors with confidence, making the rest stop as well as she spoke.
This one is the seventh magic circle of the sun. One can use this in order to borrow some powers from the sun, and it allows the user to free themselves from any kind of bonds or shackles that bind them, both physical and mental.
You sure are knowledgeable about those things.
And Beatrice's adventures after all. You see, Beatrice's magic still resides mostly in the world of unseen, and it takes a lot to make her magic reach out to our world. Those sacrifices were probably made in order for her to be able to gain power using this magic circle.
Well, too bad. It's so rainy outside. I doubt there's any sun to help her now. Ryu-san, there's no need for it.
Beatrice is getting the power she needs for her revival, and once she appears, you'll regret not believing her. Here, there's another magic circle over there already.
Her? Maria pointed towards the far corridor, where Jessica's room was. Over Jessica's door was a magic circle drawn with red paint. It looked a bit similar to the magic circles on the 3 other doors from the morning, but had a slightly different inner shape, looking fresher than the other 3 circles. Beller had been so focused on the doors they stopped by, he hadn't even noticed there was a new circle on the other door. In a way, it almost felt like that circle on the other door hadn't been there until the moment Maria had finally pointed at it. Is he really that blind? Does he need everything to be pointed out to him? Can he really trust what he sees with his own eyes? At first, he also thought the magic circle was identical to the one on the first 3 doors. But that one was different. He realized it as soon as he was standing close enough to the door to Jessica's room. He was not silent at all for a very short while, before Rosa's voice brought him back to his senses. Kenji, quick! The door! Rosa, now armed with a gun as well, moved aside as Genji rushed forward. He quickly took out his master key, inserting it into the keyhole. Is he going to be locked with a chain again? They all watched Genji lingering a few seconds after unlocking the door, slowly opening the door, which didn't stop with a chain lock. It's opened. Genji opened the door carefully. Kumasai hit her face with both hands, unable to handle the view inside the room. Over on the floor was Shano. Unlike the other 6 victims, she was not fully covered in blood, but she did have various wounds around her body, which made it look like she was struggling against someone with a sharp object. Her chest was a stake-looking object, piercing her heart. Better's legs felt weak, and his sight was getting blurry. His stomach was turning upside down, and he couldn't get himself to look inside the room either. Had he insisted on going and escorting Shannon while she searched for Kano, could he have avoided it? No. Even beforehand, He was sleeping so peacefully in his room while his own family was getting murdered, without hearing or noticing anything. How stupid can he be? Why? Why didn't he insist on going with her? Because of him, another person was murdered. Dr. Nanjo, Shannon has a master key. Can you please check if it's still in her possession? It's very possible the murderer had stolen the master key from her. Nanjo stepped inside, kneeled by the body with a frown, searching for the key for a short moment before taking it out of her pocket. It's right here. This is her master key. Nanjo showed the master key he had taken out, standing up. Okay, well, what about Kano? Natsuki stepped forward in order to take the key before her attention shifted to Virgilius, who had just stepped into the room. What are you doing? Exit the room right now! Virgilius ignored her this time, reaching the drawer next to Jessica's bed to pick up something that was resting on it. There's a letter over here again. I think we shouldn't waste any time right now, especially if the murderer wants to use the same patterns. What do you mean, Virgilius? Are we going for another goose chase? Last time, the murderer put one body in the room and left the letter pointing to another location, using the time we were away to bring another body over to another body. Kanon-san is still missing, right? Didn't Shannon-san go looking for Kanon-san to begin with? Exactly. So it's very possible Kanon-san is either the culprit or the next victim. The people in the hallway all looked at Virgilius, who was waving the sealed letter he had found. They all understood what he meant. After all, if this letter contained a location, it would mean that the culprit was planning to do the same trick as last time. So are we supposed to follow the culprit's orders just like that? Well, can't say that we have much of a choice, except for the fact that maybe we should put some people here, just to be sure. Although I get the feeling that they're gonna find like the body at the next location, to be quite honest. Exactly, and it was easy to catch them too. To catch him? Explain yourself, Virgilius-kun. Right now, the culprit is most likely watching from a distance, waiting for us to make our way to wherever this letter points to. Once we go there, the culprit will come back here and put a corpse inside the room. Unless the culprit is a new person we don't know of, it seems like it's either Kanon-san or Shinomiya Kin-san. How dare you! I will not let you slander father's name like this. Call him here and make him clear his own name by himself, or be quiet! Eva defended Virgilius' reasoning before he could answer by himself, and both women glared at each other silently for a few tense moments. Then, Eva turned to Virgilius again, her expression softening. Please continue explaining your plan, Virgilius-kun. The culprit walks around freely, and it's possible that he possessed Kanon-san's master key. That's why we will leave one person behind to guard the door and be ready to catch them. Unless the culprit already thought that us, the survivors, would think of this option, in which case they just hit the body at the next location and then just decide to hide away. The culprit's hands will most likely be full at first, since they will have to carry the next body with them, but we'll probably need someone strong enough to catch them and neutralize them in that moment. As he said that, most eyes were directed at Gora and Bell. Both of them looked to be the strongest out of the group, and Gora grimaced as soon as he realized he was a candidate. Huh! I thought I would be able to stop such a dangerous person. It's okay. I'll do it. Bella clenched his fist as he spoke, his expression filled with pain. It's because I didn't insist on escorting Shannon-chan that she died. The least I could do now is waiting here for the culprit and punching them in the face as soon as I see them. I think that we should lock this door. If the culprit arrives and needs to use a key, it will slow them. It might give you a chance to strike them, especially if you hide from a distance and watch the door. That's a good idea. Natsuki-san, give me the key. Eva stretched her hand out to Natsuki, who gave her the key unwillingly. You should probably use like a gun too. Like, someone should probably give them a gun. The remaining people in the room stepped out before Eva locked the door. Balkan, please keep yourself safe. I will. I can't die until I punch the murderer in the face and make them pay for what they did. I'm reading the letter now. Virgilius opened the envelope, unfolding the paper inside, showing it to the rest of the people in the quarter. Alright? As they suspected, the letter only contained a location. The shed. There's a shed outside in the garden. Do we need to go there then? Most likely. This is what the culprit wants in order to buy themselves time to bring over the corpse like last time. They don't know we're setting a trap though.
That's pointless.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7? Well, that is 7 dead people, as far as we know.
A simple trick like this is useless against bitches.
Despite the confident filling in the air of Virgilius' plan, Maria was laughing again, making Beller and the rest feel a grain of discouragement. What do you mean by that? A cult girl. A cult girl.
This pentacle over here is the fourth pentacle of Venus. It is specifically meant to help you bring back and unite dear ones who are far away. Even if the second body is still far away, this magic circle will help Beatrice reunite them despite your attempts to stab her. Beatrice is very kind. Even the two who are close are meant to be torn apart. She placed another magic circle that will still allow them to reunite again after death.
Oh really? Even through a guarded locked door?
Luck does mean nothing to a witch like Beatrice. You should follow the letter now. It'll help you see how great Beatrice's magic is.
Stop encouraging these things. Balakun, we'll be back soon. Virgilius-san, you're coming with us. The group started making their way downstairs, as Beller stood with his back to the door, his eyes scanning around. Is Beller gonna have like any gun with him? He should have a gun. If Virgilius is correct, the culprit could arrive any moment, possibly adding a new corpse to that room. Beller couldn't get himself to hide. He couldn't just stand it from afar and wait for the culprit to arrive and ambush them. If the culprit is dragging a corpse, there'll definitely be the slower one to react, which will give him enough time to close the gap in case they try running away as soon as they notice him by the door. He could feel his heart beating in his ears, and adrenaline rushing through his veins. It had already been a few long minutes since the rest had gone, and there was still no sign of anyone. Did they see him and run away? Maybe it was better for him to hide after all? He didn't hear anything, and if the culprit was approaching, he would have definitely heard something, somewhere. But the hallway was completely empty. His heart was still racing. It's not that he was afraid, but he was on the edge. The culprit who will arrive is a person who already killed 7, possibly 8 people. Just thinking about it was sickening. Once cornered, will they cry and apologize? Or will they just laugh or be sad their plan was sabotaged? Maybe this time the corpse really is in the shed. Just like the culprit specified. Maybe it's just the culprit's way to play with them, confuse them, and make them feel frustrated. Get out, you coward. Show yourself. Beller hissed under his breath, stepping a little bit away from the door. He wanted to scream. He wanted to find something or someone to take his anger on. Who are you? Come out. That was all Beller could think about. Alrighty then. As expected, there's nothing here.